Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. I've got a sheath to show you today. This one is a little bit off the beaten path. It's very different from what you normally see on my page, on my channel, whatever. And it's got a configuration that's perhaps a little bit unconventional. So it's definitely not something that everybody would want, but maybe this is something that would apply to you. So I wanted to show this one off on the channel just because it is a really complicated build. It's very compact and condensed, a lot of gear, and just something you never really see. So, all right. First and foremost, the two knives we can see here. This is the William Collins Survival Knife, WCSK, and this is the Tops Tom Brown Tracker Mini. So we've got these two knives, both with that interesting recess, that kind of tracker style blade that we so often talk about in the knife community, and they both have some interesting things going on with the spine, I assume for comfort as you're using it and trying to choke up and do some bushcrafting. So definitely two unconventional blades, yet gaining in a lot of popularity in the bushcraft community. And then we have a pile of survival gear. On the front here, you've got an Altoid tin. You can stuff tons of gear in it. You could put a couple Mylar blankets in there. You can put fishing gear, tinder, whatever else. You've got a MicroStream flashlight here from Streamlight. Behind it, you have an Exotac fire rod, excellent ferro rod. You have a Sunto Clipper compass, and we have these no brand name ceramic rods. I just get them through a guy that makes them on eBay, and they seem to do a pretty good job. If you're looking for a good option for sharpening your knife in the field, and you truly need to do some sharpening, like you've chipped an edge, this is not the thing that you want to use. You probably want to use a diamond hone or a diamond rod, something a little more aggressive, maybe even a stone. But a ceramic rod, these are for really great. This is for touch-ups and for maintaining the sharpness of your blade as you use it. So after you baton through some wood, maybe you just want to do a little touch-up with your ceramic rod, or maybe after a feather stick, whatever. You're hardly going to notice a difference visually, but you'll definitely feel a difference when you cut. So this is a touch-up tool, and I really like it. Alright, so that's that. Carry setups, you can see these two D-rings here. This is going to facilitate baldric carry, so if he ever wants to attach a sling to it and carry this, cross draw can be for either hand. Excuse me, folks. So you have that option there. I've also got two tek-loks on the back. Originally he'd asked for one, and I talked him into two, just because this is going to be a really heavy setup. And if you're going to be carrying something scout position, which is his intention, you really want it to be stable. If you have a ton of weight on just one tek-lok, not only is it just that one point on your belt that's bearing all the weight, but you also might have some issues where it wants to tilt to one side. Even though the tek-lok is fairly wide, does a really good job. With something as big and heavy as this, I would really recommend going with two tek-loks. So just food for thought in case you are looking at this and thinking, hey, I want to try something like that. All right, so going through some of the other details here, you have the option with the Streamlight. You can put it either direction. Currently, I just have it with the lens facing out toward the handle of the WCSK. The reason I have it this way is because if he ever does wear it baldric style, all you have to do is turn the light on, and you've got a flashlight aimed out in front of you, and you can use both your hands because the sling is supporting the knife in the sheath. So you've got a flashlight that's very, very versatile, usable even while attached to your sheath. You don't have to remove it at all. If you do need to remove it, you've got the clearance to do that. You can go this way. Obviously, if it's in this way, it'll be even easier to remove. This is the rechargeable version too, so when you pull it out, most of the retention is going to be here on the bezel, so don't be alarmed if you open up that USB port while you're pulling the flashlight out of the sheath. Alright, same thing with the fire rod, although I would really recommend that you just kind of leave it in the orientation with handle and handle kind of in the same upward position there. If you go the other way, it's just going to be a little more difficult to get at. The ceramic rod, you could certainly turn either direction. Again, it doesn't really matter. Just user preference, whatever you're thinking there. With the Sunto Clipper compass, These, if you've seen how I do them on my channel, this is probably the 3rd gen of how I've decided to do these. And this little edit, adding a hole there for retention, was something that a customer did to one that I had sent him, and then he sent me pictures and said, hey, you should do this, and he was absolutely right. So Harrison, brother, I'm still giving you shout outs for this. Alright, so you can see that the compass has a little clipper portion on it. I slipped that behind the plate. The plate is just floated with Chicago screws and some rubber washers, and you just slide it down until it clicks into place. You can see that the body rides flush against the plate because the tooth on the front of it drops down into that hole. It gives just a little bit of security. It makes it pretty sturdy, pretty stable, and when you want to take it off, you just kind of lift the front of it up and you can slide it right off. The reason it's removable is because everything around this is metal. So the knives, the tin, the ferro rod, the flashlight, just about everything on this sheath has some metal component directly involved in it. And you obviously are going to mess up your reading if you don't get that compass away from the metal. So make sure that when you're going to take your reading, you take your compass out, get it a foot or two away from any metallic elements, and then you can get an accurate reading and then push on. Now, this is something you don't see very often at all. Having 2 knives on a system facing opposite directions. The reason he opted to do this was because he does intend to carry this Scout. So let's pretend for a second that you're looking at it on somebody else's back that's standing in front of you. So you can see that they're going to reach behind and draw with their right hand for the William Collins, and they're going to reach behind and draw with their left hand for the tops. Now you can also reach behind and get a reverse grip on the tops. You just got to grip it and rip it. That is absolutely an option. I guess same thing with the William Collins, although it's big enough I wouldn't want to do that. So there you go. You do have some options there. But, excuse me. Oh man. That's a big one. So this is something I think you're going to find a lot of people will debate about in the bushcraft community. Well, in the knife community in general. Anybody who's wearing a sheath is going to have a feeling about this. My personal feeling is that this is not necessarily safe to carry in a Scout position. Imagine this in the small of your back. Imagine you fall, land on a rock directly on this. You are probably going to injure your back, and it could be a very serious injury. So this is something, when somebody orders a Scout system, I usually tell them, you probably don't want to put a bunch of attachments on it. You probably don't want to do a piggyback. You don't want a huge bulky thing in the small of your back, because you do stand a high chance of getting a serious injury if you should fall on it. So do take that into consideration when you're going through and kind of describing what you want for a sheath. I'll build whatever you want. You know your needs better than I ever will. But please take some safety considerations into mind when you're coming up with your ideas. So, all right, there we go. The color scheme on this is OD green basket weave with Killer Coyote basket weave. He had requested Coyote brown, and if you notice, this is switched over to the new basket weave, which is actual textured. It looks pretty much just like the stamp that you'd put on leather to get the basket weave effect, so it's really nice. It's an upgrade. The material is phenomenal, but for whatever reason, there's a difference in which colors are available. So Coyote brown basket weave is not technically available, but Killer Coyote is, and to my eye they pretty much look the same. There might be a little less of the like yellowish color inside this Killer Coyote, but whatever. And then we've got chocolate brown for the other thing. So the Altoid tin and the 2 D-ring holders are in chocolate brown. Really nice color scheme setup. If you guys haven't seen it already, I did a Kydex sheath. I dubbed the Leviathan because it was this huge monstrous system for a JX5 and a JX2, I think. And I had a bunch of stuff involved, and these are the colors that we used. But anyway, all right, so one last thing with it. I think when you're carrying this baldric, it's going to be interesting. You can either wear this as a left-handed baldric setup, as it would naturally be, because the tek-lok should be against your body technically. So it'd be left-handed baldric, and you're drawing across your body with your left hand. Or, I mean, you could definitely wear it reverse like this, wear it on your as a right-handed baldric with the small knife forward. That's totally an option. I guess you could wear it with the accessories against your body. So really, this could be worn like 4 different ways technically for baldric. But one of the other exciting features of this sheath is that every single component on it is reversible. So you can absolutely take this whole thing apart and reconfigure it for the other side. The only detail on here that's not perfectly reversible is the plate for the compass. It can be reversed, and you can wear it, put it on the opposite side of the Tom Brown Tracker Mini sheath. However, it's going to be the shiny smooth side of the Kydex that faces outward, rather than the patterned side that you're seeing right now. So for whatever that's worth, if that's a deal breaker for you, I'd just leave it set up like it is right now. But you have a lot of configurability with this. You can take a lot of stuff off and reverse it without having to reverse the other stuff. If you decide that you really like this better as a baldric, which I suspect you will, I think baldric is the best carry option for heavy or large systems personally. But you could absolutely just chuck the tek-loks, get rid of them altogether, and reconfigure this a number of different ways. I also used universal spacing on all of this, so you'll find that this ferro rod holder could fit along the edge here, or it can fit up top here, these 2 holes, or you can move this whole Altoid tin thing down and flip the knife up and have the 2 handles going the same direction up here. You have a lot of options. So this is actually a pretty cool, pretty modular system. And right now, I'll tell you one thing that you might want to make sure you've got a good like hour set aside if you're going to tackle that kind of project. And it wouldn't hurt to have some extra hardware on hand. So you know, if you need Greg, you can contact me. Let me know that you want to try experimenting, and I'll point you in the right direction for where to get some different length hardwares and spacers and things like that. Because if you do remove any element from this, it changes the thickness, and then that's going to change which length hardware you're going to want to use. And sometimes it's just a trial and error thing. You just got to experiment to see what's going to work best. But like I said, you probably want to set aside a solid hour to work on this, because given the fact that there is so much layering and all that, I'm serious. I had to like put 2 of the female screws through that are going to work with the tek-lok, and then put spacers on it to keep them from falling back through, while I then threaded the other stuff through. And then you got to tighten part of this one down while you tighten the tek-lok, and then slip something else in. It's just like a jigsaw puzzle. So it can be really, really tricky when you're building compacted systems like this. But anyway, I'm sorry I've rambled so long. I want your opinions down below. Let me know what you think of carrying this Scout versus baldric. Do you see any pros and cons, apart from the fact that it does pose an obvious injury risk if you were to land on it? Personally, for me, like I said, I think the weight bears a lot easier on a baldric system. I think baldric is awesome because if I need to switch from jeans to athletic shorts, I can do that. I don't have to worry about the belt issue. If I want to switch, if I want to carry a heavy pack on, like a rucksack or something, I can wear a baldric system with a rucksack. I cannot wear a Scout system with a rucksack. So you do have the option to carry this baldric, but I want your opinions down below. I won't ramble anymore. So guys, tell me what you think of the William Collins. Tell me what you think of the tops. Tell me what you think of this sheath setup and the different options for carrying it. And as always, guys, I really appreciate you sticking around for all my rambling. I hope you'll tune in for the next one. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and God bless.